Peace be with you. I'm going to use the example of life and death to explain that we as human beings never really know what's good for us, and therefore we should have faith in God and do what God commanded. Most people think that death is an ultimate evil and that the long life is ultimate good. But God gives us an example in the Quran of such people and drives the point home that this is not true. In the second chapter of the Quran, verse 96, God tells us about a people who felt like this. And it says, "And you will most certainly find them the greediest of people for life, even more greedy than those who are polytheists. Every one of them loves that he should be granted a life of 1,000 years. But his being granted a long life will in no way remove him farther off from the punishment, and God sees what they do." So although this is an example of people that came before us, each one of us know what we're thinking. So this could be describing us, because most people, they pray for a long life. But are they praying for a good thing? In reality, the matter of life and death is simply a matter of perspective. You can pray for a long life, but that doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it if you get it. Life can be either good or bad, so can life and death. For example, my father died in his 50s, in his early 50s, but he did not have to bury his children. He did not have to watch his children die. His father died in his 90s. He got long life, but he buried all 3 of his sons. He watched all 3 of his sons die, and then he died himself. So although my father did not get a long life, which one of them got the better end of the stick? Which one of them got a good deal? I think every parent will agree that the last thing they want to do is watch their children die. So if you are granted a long life and this happens to you, were you granted a blessing or a curse? But it can get worse than that. As a matter of fact, what we love the most in this world, life, can actually become the worst curse in the hereafter. For those of us who find themselves in hell, the perspective on life and death will drastically change. And that is how you understand that love of things, including life and death, is simply a matter of perspective. Most people love life because they were blessed by God. You only love life because your life is good. Even though if you don't think you're blessed by God, if you love life, that means you have been. There are people out here walking, wishing to die every day. They've lost everything. Look at the people in Gaza. I saw a video of a man looking through the rubble of his home for the remains of his 4 children. Do you think he loves life? There are people with conditions like, for example, trigeminal neuralgia, right? That if not successfully treated, all they feel is pain, and a lot of them kill themselves. There are people walking around the streets with severe moral injury because the government sent them to wars that did not need to be fought. And our veterans here in the United States kill themselves at a rate higher than any other population. There are things that can happen to you that can make you hate life. So, in the hereafter, God tells us that our perspective will change if we are of the people that end up in hell. We are going to want death more than anything. Consider this. All people love life and want immortality. Most do. And all of them will get it without a question. That is the promise of God. But for some, that long life is going to be a curse, and all they're going to want is death. In the 43rd chapter of the Quran, verses 74 to 78, we are told, "Surely the guilty will stay in the punishment of hell, and it will not be reduced from them, and they will remain therein in despair. And we are not unjust to them, but they were themselves unjust. And they will call out, 'O ruler, let your Lord make an end of us. Kill us,' is what they're saying. 'Let us die.' And he will say, 'Surely you will stay. You will live. Certainly we have brought you the truth, but most of you are averse to the truth. All that was asked from us as human beings is to be truly moral people, which we already pretend to be. Nobody's walking around these streets talking about, I'm a liar, I'm a this, I'm a that. Nothing negative. All of us already pretend to be moral human beings. And God says, no, either you're going to be that, or the thing that you desire the most, life is going to turn into your worst curse. I'm not unjust to you. You are the ones that are unjust. You are the liars. You are the brutal murderers. You are the rapists. You are the people that use each other. That's you. And I am not going to allow you to continue to do that forever. You are not going to enter heaven if you're going to be that. God is not unjust. We are. So there you go. Reality is relative, whether in this world or the next. It just matters how you perceive things. All of us are going to get life. The things that you love, you're going to get it. Don't fear that. Don't fear that you're not going to get it, but fear that you will get it. For some, that long life is going to be endless suffering, and for others, endless joy. And it all depends. If we chase in this world what we already know we're going to lose, life, and that will make you act in a way that God forbade, and you will get your life, and that is going to be the last thing you want. We have to walk in this world with a sense of certainty that God has spoken the truth. And God says again, certainly we have brought you the truth, but most of you are averse to it. My advice to people is, before that day comes, walk in the path of God. Learn what it is and walk in it. And you will benefit yourself in this world and the hereafter. God gives you the correct perspective in the Quran. Life is perspective. That's all it is. Reality is perspective. And God gives you that perspective, the correct one. Everything else is trying to mislead you. Peace be with you.